Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Link Through Social podcast. My name is Paul Wright, and welcome to episode number 25. That's right, episode number 25 today, people. Industry data shows steep drop-off rates, with about 44% of shows failing to publish past their third episode, and 90% quitting before hitting episode 20. Reaching 25 episodes puts us in the top 1 to 5% of all podcasts ever created in terms of longevity. 25 episodes, countless ideas, endless conversations. If you're an entrepreneur, marketer, creator, business owner, business professional looking to stay ahead of AI and social media, now is the perfect time to subscribe to the Link Through Social podcast on YouTube, and also follow us on the audio platforms where you get your podcasts. And here's to the next 25 episodes. We couldn't have done this without the loyal following support. Simply liking, sharing, subscribing, and downloading really goes a long way. This has led to thousands of views on YouTube and thousands of downloads on popular audio platforms like Spotify and Apple. Thank you to everyone who is helping build our Link Through Social community all together. And I also want to thank Smart Post app for coming on board as one of our sponsors right from almost near the beginning. And to TicketPortX, who has also recently become a sponsor of the show. And we appreciate both those companies and encourage our viewers and listeners to support them and check out the services that they offer, Smart Post app and TicketPortX. Now, we have exciting things in store for our viewers and listeners in the next 25 episodes, so stay connected. Your continued support will be really appreciated. Now, as we celebrate episode 25, we have two wonderful guests for us today. First, we will have Ann Cantera, who is a leading woman in AI that's leading women into AI, cutting through the hype and saying the quiet parts of big tech out loud. And then we will welcome Mark Alcobe, who is Barcelona born, 8 years living abroad across Europe. He's a UX UI designer, improv actor, futsal goalkeeper, and a podcast host. So two great guests today. So the Link Through Social podcast will start right after this brief message.
You've worked hard to build your audience, so why send your customers somewhere else? Introducing white label digital storefronts from TicketPortX. Now you can process tickets, registrations, donations, merchandise sales, and collect valuable customer data directly on your website or custom landing page. Increase brand visibility, create a stronger connection with your customers, deliver a seamless user experience, and monetize your brand with high-converting pages powered by TicketPortX's secure hosting, payment processing, and event technology. Perfect for festivals, conventions, classes, retail storefronts, charity events, sporting events, and even free events. Manage entire event series from a single storefront and spend less money marketing multiple links and event pages. One platform, one link, endless possibilities. TicketPortX, powering your brand, your events, and your growth.
And welcome back to the Link Through Social podcast. Well, we have a special guest today, Ann Cantera, and she's from elemental-intelligence.ai. Ann is an AI and voice technology expert, conversation designer, and founder of Elemental Intelligence. She works at the intersection of ethical AI, conversational design, agentic technology, and woman in tech, with a point of view that is sharp, funny, human, and impossible to mistake for corporate approved talking points. I love it. Welcome to the show, Ann.
Hi, thank you for having me. I
My
think we're gonna
pleasure.
have a nice time.
Oh, we are. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Before we get into it, though, why don't you just give us a little bit of information about your background and how you arrived here today?
Okay, I'll give you the short version, the AI version. I've been in and out of tech since 2001, but the last 5 years have been really concentrated around AI. I got into doing chatbots the old way.
Yes.
NLU, NLP was where I first got my feet wet with AI. And then over the last 4 years, I've been working in the conversation design space. And I mean, I was on ChatGPT on the first day. So the generative stuff was, I just took to it like a fish to water from the very beginning, and I've done chat, and I specialize in voice now because it's such high demand. But I have been doing agentic since I always looked at conversation designers were doing agents before agents were cool, but actual agentic AI, like multi-agent systems, things like that, I've been doing for last 2 years or so. And when I started getting really good at building those systems that I felt companies would be able to use as an excuse to fire people by the thousands, I left my high-paying corporate job
Sure.
and started Elemental Intelligence. And my version of ethical AI, although there are people who say there's no version of ethical AI, I beg to differ, is
Mhm.
helping underserved businesses figure out their AI strategy. My tagline for them is "Don't DIY your AI," because I just want to use AI. The only way I can use it and sleep well at night is to use it as an equalizer for underserved businesses, female owned, minority owned, veteran owned,
Yes.
whatever it is, just small, whatever. That's my version of ethical AI. I understand people have their, I understand about the environment. I do a podcast on AI for good. So I'm very
Okay.
well versed with, the environmental impact,
Sure.
the IP issues, but it's not, the purists are like, just don't use it. And I just don't think that's feasible for the future. So is it don't use it, try and use it ethically, or be Darth Vader.
Right.
So that's
I,
kind of I chose the path
the
of
middle. I
using it as
love it.
ethically as I possibly can.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. And you know what? I'm hoping as time goes by, because we're in this rapid pace of AI moment, that there will be more people like you, because this is where you have to make the decision. Ethical AI is really where it should be at. And there's the extreme to the left and the right of that, but you got to go straight down the middle. So, um, I what are people getting wrong about AI right now? And like, there's so much out there. There's so much information coming out to people. What is the most
Yeah.
people are getting wrong about AI right now?
I think there's two answers to that. So on our socials, all the tech people were in this massive AI echo chamber. When
Hmm.
you leave LinkedIn or X or wherever you are and
Yes.
go out and speak to people, which I do. I try to do 3 in-person networking events a week.
Oh,
People don't
wow.
even know what Claude is. Like,
Mhm. I
yeah,
know.
85% of people have never even touched AI. So
Yeah.
understand you're in an echo chamber. It's important especially if you're a consultant and you're trying to find clients that aren't giant enterprise clients. For me, it's like, oh, they don't even know they need me yet. So
Right.
being early
It's
is
true.
a little bit of a double-edged sword that way. But the other thing is, you see so many slop posts about slop posts,
Hmm.
right? Like
Yes.
it's become a thing. And I believe there are good AI operators who know how to use AI as extractive tools. Like, instead of having it generate an article for you, have it interview you on a subject that you're fluent in and return your answers into an article, right? So
Mm.
I think there's a huge difference between slop generating and thought innovating. And
Yes.
I think people really miss that,
Mhm.
right? So it's going to steal your voice only if you let it, right?
Yeah.
So I think, and I really think that I might have to teach a course on being a good AI operator because
Mhm.
there's so many misconceptions and misuse
Yes.
of how people are, make me a LinkedIn post is not a prompt,
No.
and that's we're seeing a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's those two things, the echo chamber and the level of operator are the two things that I keep seeing that I think people are very disconnected from.
Yeah, like what you just said, make me a LinkedIn post. It's not about that. And people that are just getting into it think, oh, okay, well, just it will do all the work for me, and I don't have to worry about anything. And it, if it's used properly, it can be a wonderful thing, and it's so exciting. The sky's the limit, you know. So it's just
Yeah.
about how you're using it, I think, is really really important.
Yeah, I teach seniors at my local libraries
Oh, okay.
how to protect themselves. And I also
Yes.
teach them how to use it to help themselves. Like, so one of the exercises I did with them is a screenshot of the back of, I don't remember if it was health insurance or like
Okay.
the really fine print on the back of the credit card statement. I think that's what
Hmm.
it was.
Right.
And said, look, if you get mail and you're not sure and you're scared and you're worried, you can take a picture of this. I taught them how to upload the image and you can ask questions.
Hmm.
Like I got a weird letter yesterday that I took a picture of and I'm like, what does this even mean? And it wasn't anything important, but it was a very scary looking letter. And I
Hmm.
and I did not understand the verbiage and it did not understand where it was going. They were so grateful to have a tool that can help them navigate life when they're not very techy.
Yes.
Um, and then I teach them things like you can upload a picture of yourself and see what you look like with blonde hair. And I did
Yeah.
that for myself. And
Make it
it was
fun.
like, oh my
Sure.
God, you look like Tatum O'Neal. Like, yeah. So, I love making it accessible.
Hmm.
But I really love, bringing it to people who aren't technical and teaching them how to make their lives better. Because in the
Yes.
end, for me, everything that I'm kind of inching towards is making it a technology that can de-stress your life,
Hmm.
right? No more. I talk about the thing I call the dread in the US, the healthcare system is there isn't a word for what it is, what disaster it
Yes.
is.
Right.
So if you have a problem with your doctor or your health insurance, it's days on the phone,
Hmm.
days.
Yep.
Now, if I can build you an agent, right? Especially you have cancer, you just gave birth. If I can build you an agent that is
Hmm.
going to go do that battle for you, I did a talk a couple years ago on autonomous agents as advocates,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
to me is ethical AI. That to me is doing good for the little people against the big corporations that infiltrate and hurt our lives.
100%.
So that's kind of where I'm hoping to take it. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Yeah, we do have a good healthcare system here in Canada. However, for specific and specialized type of treatments, and that there's long waiting lists, and there's a lot of things that you have to go through, similar to what you're experiencing down in the U.S. And yeah, to use ethical AI in this um, perspective is really helpful and can because you're going through a stressful time. You're having health issues potentially, or maybe not like serious endangering health issues, but health issues nonetheless. And if you can take away some of that stress of spending days on the phone or corresponding and that, why not? That's amazing.
Yeah.
So
And it's very telling that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
It's just it's this thing I call the dread, right? The dread
Hmm.
of calling your insurance company, calling the phone company, your
Yeah,
internet provider, calling, you know, and those are all technology companies to a degree.
I know.
And they've used the technology to weaponize
Hmm.
your exhaustion to
Yeah.
get you to just let them run rampant.
Hmm.
And so I'm really hoping, and in the end, I think there's going to be a lot of AI versus AI, like who's going to win? Like bot to bot, right? It's going to be
Yes.
like a battle between transformers. And
Hmm.
I'm sure these big companies will definitely be the ones that have AI that can beat up your AI, but
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that maybe not, and that,
Hmm.
because like, as far, the Anthropic release and the ability of that model to be able to hack, any system. Well, that exists in the world now. Now
Hmm.
what? It's going to
Yeah.
have to be another AI that's stronger than that, and it's just going to be like, um, remember that game we used to Rock'em Sock'em Robots, right?
Yes, I do
It's that
remember
it's
that.
going to be Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Right. Yeah.
That's
It's
that's
flashing.
AI security of the future.
Yes. Yeah. That's hilarious. I love it.
I cut you off. You had a question.
Well, I
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on this, and because in the intro I mentioned this about women with as in regards to AI. So why do you
Mhm.
think women are still being left out of the AI conversation?
I think it's worse than that. I think the media is playing us as victims of it. We're afraid of it, and if we use it, we get treated poorly. Where men get elevated. I think in the end, the reason why I'm doing, I don't know, 20 podcast appearances this week
Hmm.
is to speak out against that, because
Yes.
my theory is we're being purposefully portrayed like that and purposefully suppressed in the media
Hmm.
and represented by celebrities instead of
Hmm.
women who actually work in the space,
Yes.
because we are not move fast and break things. We are move thoughtfully and build things,
Hmm.
and that flies in the face of the CEOs that
Hmm.
of the AI companies. They don't, they're still in that mentality of, and we're seeing them move fast and break things. I mean, this AI rollout has been a massive disaster, and
Yeah.
so many products being released that are just awful, so many
Hmm.
security problems. And in my mind, my theory is if women were leading the charge, it would be very different. Because
Yes.
we care about ethics, we care about the planet, we care about kids. We're just not laser focused on power and the bottom line. And I think that is exactly why we get left out of the conversation, and
Hmm.
why I personally am doing everything I can to be out there and making a stink about it.
No, that's wonderful. That's one of the things that stood out when we got connected. We both use Podmatch, which is a great tool
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
connect podcasters with guests, and it stood out to me. And it's so sad that we're playing catch up now, as far as women and ethical AI. But people like you are have to continue the conversation and the education, more importantly the education, to get the word out,
Hmm.
and so
Yep.
they can catch back up. But because it's sad the way it has started, it can be fixed and like moving forward. But education and getting the word out is extremely important at this point here in July of 2026 for sure. Now, I'm a social media guy,
Yeah.
and I do a lot of social media management and that. But I noticed that you're only active on LinkedIn, not all the major social platforms. Why don't you explain why you've decided to do that?
Yeah, I got myself in trouble with this yesterday. I was at a women's networking event, and I started teaching them a little bit about how Zuckerberg treats teenage girls.
Boy.
Um, and you threaten people's Facebook and they get very, ooh, like I don't think I made any friends in that room, but I don't
Yeah.
care.
No.
It's because I'm an advocate first. Before I'm a technologist, I'm an
Hmm.
advocate.
Right.
Um, I just, there, but then, things happened and some stuff came out about leadership at LinkedIn too. So, I mean, it's a personal choice.
Yes.
I just choose not to do business with uh, anybody who is preys on children and teenagers.
Mm.
I just don't think anybody should do business. It shouldn't be, especially after Epstein. I mean, like the things that people are willing to tolerate because only grandma's on Facebook, grandma's only on Facebook. Grandma has a phone. Call her. You don't need Facebook, right? Like,
Right, right.
it's I don't know why it's really hard for some people to put ethics first, principles first,
Mm.
and then other people will kind of excuse themselves around it, and that's fine. Everybody's on their own journey, but for me, I wouldn't be on any of them if I didn't have to. But
Sure.
also, it also keeps my voice quiet,
Hmm.
in the sense of not being on Instagram. To go on one of Zuck's platforms to campaign against him does have like a poetic kind of ring to it for me,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
I almost wish I could have a proxy do it for me.
Right.
But I just don't want to do business with them. I'm contemplating YouTube, um, just because of video content, but really,
Sure.
I torture myself, honestly. I
Mhm.
really do. So right now, this is where I'm at, only on LinkedIn, but I do have my website. So I have one website that teaches AI for free,
Mhm.
voiceofai.io. So that's something I built that's out in the world that,
Oh,
it's
nice.
not social, but
Mm.
yeah, that's a long answer, but I'm still growing and I'm still figuring it out. But right now, my conscience just won't let me do anything other than LinkedIn.
I totally get where you're coming from. And, I've talked about this on the show for several months now. And I do a radio appearance once a week. And we've been talking a lot about the ban on social media for children under the age of 16. It started in Australia. It's gone across to Europe. It's starting to spread across Europe. Here in Canada, there's been a bill proposed to the Parliament, but we all know how politics works. It doesn't matter what country you're in, and that will take at
Oh,
least a year.
as long as the tech pros keep giving money to the government, they'll
Yeah,
keep being able to do whatever they want. Yeah, that's just how
exactly.
it works.
Exactly. And it keeps coming up, the battle. And there are advocates out there that are saying, oh, the under 16 children, they have rights to see what they want or do what they want. No, no, we should be being
Not in my house.
responsible. No, we should be being responsible and educate. Again, we're talking about educating the kids. So one of the arguments against it was, well, how are they going to be set up for life because everything is online, their phones and this and that. But that's okay. It'll happen when they get older. But when they get older, they can make their own decisions. But until they're of that age, it's up to the parent or to
Yeah,
make those decisions for the kids to protect them, right? So it's a
I
seesaw
have three
battle.
kids.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, and they're 6 years apart, so they grew up with very different technology from each other.
Mm.
And the youngest have really suffered and been impacted by too much tech.
Right.
And I'm not a person with regrets
Mhm.
generally, but
Right.
one of my regrets is not limiting it more for him. He's awesome now, but I could
Sure.
see, but I think it's very common, especially for boys, like they stay home, they play video games, they don't go out, they don't,
Mm.
like that whole thing. When I speak to school districts about their AI policies, I have a pretty wild suggestion, and it's that two and a half, either 1 week completely unplugged, pen, pencils, papers, books, 1 week
Yes.
with tech, or 2.5 days, you know, balance. I think
Yes.
every school district, if they
Balance.
can afford
Yes.
to, should have a garden, right? Like get the
Hmm.
kids out, get their feet in the dirt, get them growing things and eating the things they grow, but
Hmm.
then also teach them how to be a good AI operator, right?
Right.
Teach them, they need both. It's
Yes.
balance, and everything is so unbalanced. And that's one of the things I write, all balance in all things, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Grow those vegetables, eat those vegetables, but also let the ice cream truck come, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let them have
Yep.
some fun, like
Right.
balance. And who's keeping track of the balance? That it falls on the parents. And parents are working harder, more hours, more exhausted than ever because, these talks always come back down to if it wasn't so hard to keep everybody fed and housed,
Mhm.
we would all make very different decisions
Yes.
in
Right.
everything we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we were all just like, if we lived in this a perfect scenario of food and housing doesn't cost you anything,
Mm-hmm.
imagine how wildly different the world would be.
Would be.
Everything would be completely different.
It would be so special.
So many people use technology. Yeah, I mean, people use technology mentally, and I think certain people are like I don't know if it's trauma or what, they're wired for
Mm-hmm.
criminal behavior, but some people do criminal behavior out of desperation, right?
Mm-hmm.
We see so much of that. People getting
Yes.
arrested for stealing formula. People in countries where they scam people by phone. That they're and that comes down to the question of the technology. The
Mm-hmm.
technology is not inherently good or bad. It's the people.
Yes.
If we set the people up to be able to do good, I think they will.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the world we live in and the lack of balance and how hard it is just to make basics happen, you have two working parents and they can barely make ends meet, even with
Mm-hmm.
one kid, let alone five, right?
Right.
So, I just think all the questions about the tech really should circle back to the people and the government and the way things just work and don't work.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And I want to, before we wrap things up, I'd like to invite you on the show again
Mhm.
because we are running out of time. But I want to
Sure.
continue this conversation because it's so important
Awesome.
to educate and get the word out to people about ethical AI and so many other things that we touched on today. So we definitely will connect after the show and set up another
Sure.
time
And I
to
could
bring you
bring
back
many
on.
women.
I would love that. I would love that.
Okay.
Your website is
Awesome.
elementalintelligence.ai, and I encourage
Yeah,
everyone to go
elemental with
there.
a Y.
Yes, that's
Yes.
ELEMENTYLLINTELLIGENCE. Whoa, that was a mouthful.
I know this is, the
Elementalintelligence.ai.
marketing people said, don't do it, Ann, but I did it anyway. So,
I love it. You go against the grain, Ed, and you're your own person.
yeah.
That's
And
what I
find me
like
on
about you.
LinkedIn.
Yes, yes,
I'm
you're
the
on
only I'm
LinkedIn.
the only Ann Cantera on LinkedIn. So that's the
Perfect.
easiest
That's
way
it
to get
easily.
me.
And
Yeah.
Cantera, that's
Yeah.
Cantera. I really appreciate you joining us, and we'll
Thank
speak
you.
again
Thank you. This
soon
was
for
fun.
sure. Thank you again. The
Okay.
Link Through Social
Hey.
podcast
All right,
will
bye.
be back right after this short break.
Tired of stressing over what to post on social media? Meet Smart Post App, your all in one solution to create, schedule, and grow your content effortlessly. In just a few taps, you can generate engaging posts, stay consistent, and keep your audience coming back for more. No more guessing, no more burnout, just smarter content faster. Whether you're a business owner, creator, or entrepreneur, SmartPost offers both premium and pro plans. In addition, we have new features that have been recently added that include instantly viewing public links to your posts on any network, weekly view allowing you to plan hour by hour, account groups group your accounts to save time and simplify your workflow, and a desktop version which offers a simpler way to stay consistent. Start posting smarter today at smartpostapp.com. Smart Post App, because your content should work for you.
And welcome back to the Link Through Social podcast. Well, we have a really special guest today, Mark Alcobe, and he's from almostlocalstories.com. Mark is a Barcelona-born UX UI designer who has spent the last 8 years living abroad across Germany, Greece, and now Italy. He's also a professional futsal goalkeeper and an improv theater actor. On top of that, he hosts the Almost Local podcast, where he explores what it really takes to build a life and feel at home in a new place, sharing insights on adapting to new cultures, finding belonging, and navigating life beyond your own home country. Mark, welcome to the Link Through Social podcast.
Thanks a lot for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, I appreciate you coming on the show. So you're a little different guest than we're normally used to, and I'm very intrigued by your story and almost local stories.com. Why don't you just tell me a little bit more about your background? I touched on it in the intro, and how you got here today.
Sure. So, yeah, as you said, I'm originally from Barcelona, not directly Barcelona, like 20 kilometers away from it, but I grew up in a town called, like a city called Sabadell, and then I moved to Barcelona for studies. So my last years home, let's say home still, are in Barcelona, where I studied engineering and product design. So basically, I started my design path a little bit more related to furniture design and like a little bit more physical things. But I
Yes.
quickly switched to the digital environment and digital design, becoming a UX UI designer. And that's exactly what brought me to Germany on the first move of these three that you mentioned. So
Yes.
basically, they called me from Frankfurt am Main and they said, "Hey, we have an option here for you to come and do UX UI design with us." And I moved to Germany. I met my partner, who's German. She's an archaeologist. Therefore, the next logical step was moving to Greece, I suppose. So she get the job
Sure.
there. Luckily, I was already working remotely, fully remote. I work from home, so that made a little bit easier the relationship with my girlfriend.
Yes.
So I followed her to Greece. So I was like 4 years in Germany, 4 years in Greece, and now the last move to Italy was a little bit more a freedom movement, let's say like this. We both
Sure.
work from home now,
Hmm.
and we said, okay, do we want to stay forever in Greece? Because we knew we like it a lot. Like we really, really like the life in Athens,
Yes.
and we were in this moment. We were saying, okay, if we stay here a little bit longer, we stay here forever. Do we want to take one last move just to try out something else before taking bigger decisions in terms of buying apartments instead of renting, having a family, and so on and so forth. And yeah, like I'm here today basically because I started the podcast, as you said, like
Yes.
6 years ago, a little bit more
Okay.
than 6 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, Being completely transparent, it started like a COVID child, like a little bit of like I didn't know what to do with my time. As you
Yeah.
mentioned, I have quite a lot of hobbies, but all of them involve like being in contact with other people.
Yes.
So suddenly I was alone at home. I had the microphones, I had the equipment, and I was like, what do I do with this?
Hmm.
So I started a podcast and I started interviewing people who are at the beginning my friends living in Germany. It obviously grew up, and then I started entering the whole rabbit hole of like doing video production instead of only podcast, transforming that into social media reels, and
Yes.
so on and so forth. So it grew up a lot, and now it's like an unstoppable monster, as I call it sometimes when I'm frustrated. Uh, but yeah, I continue interviewing people who's living abroad.
Right.
From a real perspective, not from the shiny and rainbowy perspective that sometimes social media gives to us. That is
Yes.
everything move abroad and everything will be perfect, and it's not
Right.
like that. So that's the
No,
perspective that I'm trying to bring right now.
I absolutely love the concept. And you're the hero to a lot of us because a lot of our listeners and viewers they now work at home for whatever reason. Technology is such that it allows us to do that. And in the past 4 or 5 years since the pandemic, so many companies have switched to this model. And what a wonderful adventure it can be by still working and doing your job from wherever you are. So you've been to Greece and Germany and now Italy. It's absolutely fascinating. Now, how has your work as a UX UI designer influenced the way you understand cultures in the different countries that you visited so far?
I mean, it's clear that from my profession, and my profession forces me to be in contact with users who might have different perspective on a single software and a single product, and they normally have a clear idea of what they want to achieve, or what they would like to do with that software. They don't have a clear idea on how to do that. I normally relate these to cultures also. Like, you arrive to a new culture and you know what you need to do, you have no idea how to do it. So sometimes I'm using myself as a user. No, I'm,
Of
instead
course,
of being
yeah,
the designer who talks with the user, I'm the user myself.
yeah,
And that happens with a lot of things, like bureaucracies, the first times that you need to go to a hospital, the first time that you
yeah,
try to get in contact with the language, or going to the supermarket and trying to I don't know, buy things that at
yeah,
home you know how they are called, and suddenly you don't know that, no? So
sure.
um, these first interactions and these first levels of like communication are clearly similar to what one has with a digital product. Digital
Right.
products emulate life, no? At the end.
No, absolutely. And you're right. Going to a new country and living and being immersed in the culture, it's very exciting and very you just want to experience things and learn about the culture, but it can also be very scary and very intimidating, with language and cultural barriers. Um, Let's just focus for a minute on the social media side of things. Link Through Social podcasts, we're all about the social media. You mentioned for your podcast, you've developed reels and different posters and posts that you are very avid on social media. Country to country, um, do you find yourself when you're making your posts, are you doing broad posts for everyone, or are you targeting in on the specific countries that you might be in at the time? What do you do about that?
Yeah, that's it changed through years, I would say. The focus of the podcast at the very beginning was even called differently. It was called the Ausländer, which mainly in German means the immigrant. Back in
Okay.
the day, the podcast was focused on people who were living in Germany, like foreigners living in Germany.
Yes.
Therefore, at that point of time, yes, the podcast was a little bit more focused, and what I was doing in social media was also more focused on to, okay, let's grab the foreigners inside of Germany. Once I moved to Greece and I expanded the podcast to be a little bit more global and a little bit more everyone, no, like
Yes.
it doesn't matter where you are living, as what it matters is that you are living abroad or you lived abroad. Then I switched the whole social media strategy. It's also true that progressively I started doing more and more, but because I started also using software and tools that allowed me to do these kind of reels without investing too much time into it, or like creating posts without investing an amount of time that would not be sustainable with my job. I work for 8 hours per day. Besides having this, as you said, I play futsal, I do improv theater. I have a lot of things in my life. So it
Mhm.
depends. If I need to be on top of the whole content that I produce on social media, 100%, I would not be doing it. That's the reality. So
Right.
when it switched to be much more global and much more extended, I start researching and investing in tools that allow me to cut a little bit corners in there, let's say like this.
Yeah. Well, no, you need that help because
Hmm.
I know firsthand. I run this podcast, but I also have a social media management business. And AI has definitely helped with some of the scheduling and different types of things. And of course, I use Smart Post app to schedule a lot of my
Mhm.
posts on different social media platforms. You need these tools to keep up, especially if you have a small group behind you, or sometimes it's just yourself, right? So there's no shame in having these kind of tools. but you want to also keep the human side of, especially when you're portraying your story on social media. So on social media, speaking of which, we can find you on most of the platforms at Almost Local Stories. Now, you're an improv theater actor as well. How has that helped you adapt to new cultures, unpredictable situations, and living life abroad?
Well, it's the base of improv at the end, no? Like you jump into on top of a stage and then you don't know what it's coming. There is no script, there is no anything. So a lot of the dynamics that we use in improv theater, of course, helped me navigate certain
Nice.
situations in life. Most recently, of course, even a little bit more because I'm doing improv theater in Italian, which is
Mhm.
something that I that it helped develop the language to another level and having the flexibility
Sure.
of I don't know switching words, the syntaxes of the sentences, and navigate through around things. And also win confidence. It's also true. Like at the end, when you're capable of doing a show on top of in front of 200 people in a language that it's not yours, fully
Mhm.
improvised, with things jumping on top of you without knowing where the direction exactly of where are going things. When you find similar situations on real on the street, no, on out of the stage, you're also capable of understanding if I was there in front of 200 people doing something that everyone is looking at you here, I can also navigate this, no? So it definitely helped. Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful. Now, we don't have much time left, but I'm curious. On your Almost Local podcast, you must have some very powerful stories of people that building lives in new countries. What's one that maybe stands out time that you've had the podcast?
Oof, that's a difficult question. I interviewed nearly 100 people, so um, I think one of the ones that shocked me the most, especially because of how he navigated it and how he explained his own story in a very nice and happy way, although outside of the crudity of what happened to him, was the story from a guy who moved in Athens, and he was one of the first refugees who enter uh, Greece in general.
Oh,
He was
okay.
actually in the
Yeah.
first refugee camp that they mounted in Greece. This
Yes.
guy came from Pakistan, Nasir, and basically he crossed through cold, extreme situations. There was people, he lost friends into the way. He knows people who lost extremities, fingers, stuff like that.
Wow.
They crossed to Turkey. He was nearly arrested in Turkey by the police. He managed to
Mhm.
get out of that. So he was kind of like refugee trafficked until Greece. And then when he arrived to Greece, he adapted. He's a photographer there. He works in
Okay.
the docks of Piraeus. He speaks perfect Greek. He's
Hmm.
married to a Greek woman. He
Oh,
has two wonderful kids. It's the story of adaptation of someone who didn't have it easy in his life. And although all of that, capable of like redoing his life, and that like that shocked me really in the direction of like, oh, wow, no matter what happens in life and how hard you can be, you can you can become a nice and a happy and a successful person in somewhere else, even though you had difficult moments. Yeah,
that's
truly inspiring.
incredible. Yeah, absolutely inspiring. That is just wonderful. Well, Mark Alcobe, I really appreciate you joining the Link Through Social podcast today. And I encourage everyone to go to almostlocalstories.com. Of course, Mark is on social media at Almost Local Stories. Mark, pleasure having you on the show. We'd love to have you on again in the future. And I wish you the best in Italy. And maybe the next country is somewhere down the road for you. I'm not sure, but I'll be following your story as well.
We'll see. Thanks a lot for having me. It was a real pleasure.
Very good. Okay, well, the Link Through Social podcast will be back right after this.
You've worked hard to build your audience, so why send your customers somewhere else? Introducing white label digital storefronts from TicketPortX. Now you can process tickets, registrations, donations, merchandise sales, and collect valuable customer data directly on your website or custom landing page. Increase brand visibility, create a stronger connection with your customers, deliver a seamless user experience, and monetize your brand with high-converting pages powered by TicketPortX's secure hosting, payment processing, and event technology. Perfect for festivals, conventions, classes, retail storefronts, charity events, sporting events, and even free events. But that's not all. Introducing TicketPortX multi-day events. Hosting a festival, seminar, conference, tournament, or event series. No more manually sending tickets 24 hours later. No more scrambling to issue comps and catch up with attendees. With TicketPortX, everything happens in real time. Sell tickets for multiple events on one page. Create ticket packages across different dates. Manage entire event series from a single storefront. And spend less money marketing multiple links and event pages. One platform, one link, endless possibilities. TicketPortX, powering your brand, your events, and your growth.